guys, this is Daniela from Tome Spanish, and before we start the video, I want to ask you a very simple question. How would you say I don't remember you in Spanish? Would you say no me acuerdo de ti, no me recuerdo de ti, or no te recuerdo? So before I give you the answer, I'm going to explain you the difference between recordar and acordarse, because even though they share the same meaning, these verbs work with different elements, which means that it can be confusing for you to choose between them. So recordar and acordarse, we use both verbs to talk about our memories, about the things that we remember. So recordar is a transitive verb, which means that if it's not clear by the context, you have to mention what or who you are remembering. And over here, if you see this little mark that I made, recordar is a stem changing verb. This means that when you conjugate it, you're going to change the O for U and E. I'm going to show you that in a sec. So recordar works with three basic structures. The first one is to talk about things that you remember, and we use recordar plus determiner plus a noun. And a determiner can be anything from an article or a demonstrative. The second structure, recordar plus a person, is obviously used to talk about people. And finally, the third one is recordar plus que plus a verb when you are talking about remembering situations. So I have examples over here. The first one is no recuerdo tu nombre. I don't remember your name. The second one, ¿recuerdan este lugar? Do you guys remember this place? And the third one, no recuerdo qué tenía que hacer. I don't remember what I have to do. So if you check, number one, here is the stem changing, the spell changing that I was telling you about, and this is just for pronunciation. Number two, check that there is no pronoun before recordar. I cannot say no me recuerdo, which is a very common mistake. We don't say that in Spanish, okay? There is no pronouns before recordar. It's just no recuerdo o recuerdo. And you can see the examples here with the noun, and I forgot to put a person, but no recuerdo a Clara, for example. And recordar is also used to talk about reminding something to someone else. For example, recuérdame tu nombre. Remind me your name. And this one, me recuerdas a tu papá. You remind me to your dad. You guys look so similar that I think about your dad when I see you. And I know, before you freak out, I know this one has a pronoun, but check the difference. In this case, we're talking about reminding something to someone else. If that's the case, I'm going to use indirect pronouns, like in this. However, if I'm talking about my memories, no recuerdo tu nombre, o no recuerdo qué hice ayer, I don't remember what I did yesterday. With memories, I do not use pronouns, just when I'm reminding something to someone else. So over here I have a mark on this example, me recuerdas a tu papá, because we are going to come back to that one after we see how to use acordarse, okay? So let's go to acordarse. Acordarse, it's also a stem changing verb, meaning that it's going to change, that vowel is going to change when you conjugate it. And as you can see, because I marked it in blue, acordarse has a reflexive ending. It's a pronominal verb, which means that when you conjugate it, you have to use reflexive pronouns. Just a quick reminder. Reflexive pronouns are me, te, se, nos, and os if you're learning Castilian and Spanish. So acordarse, when talking about memories and remind about memories, cannot work without that pronoun. You have to use it 100% of the times. So here are the structures, and compare the difference between the structures when we use acordarse and recordar. Acordarse works with the when talking about remembering people or things. So the structure is acordarse plus de plus noun. If we're talking about remembering situations or actions that I did, I'm going to use a verb. Acordarse plus que plus verb. Check the examples. No me acuerdo de ti. And that's the answer for the question that I made you at the beginning of the video. No me acuerdo de ti. I don't remember you. Ella se acordó. Check the pronouns. Ella se acordó de la película. She remembered the movie. And the third one, ¿te acuerdas que fuimos al parque? Do you remember that you and I went to the park? Because it's a pronominal verb, in here, with this one, I do use reflexive pronouns, okay? So that's a big difference between acordarse and recordar. And when you're talking about remembering people, you can either say their name, no me acuerdo de Clara, or if it's if you don't want to mention the name, you can use a pronoun. In this case, it's going to be a prepositional pronoun. No me acuerdo de ti, no me acuerdo de usted, etc. And of course, because they are synonyms, acordarse can also be used to remind something to someone else. And check this example. Acuérdale a tu papá de tu tarea. Remind your dad about your homework. But check the difference. Because we are reminding something to someone, we're not using reflexive pronouns anymore. We're using, just like recordar, we're using indirect pronouns, okay? So now that you understand how to use acordarse, I want to come back to this example over here that I marked. And when we're talking about resemblances between people, when somebody reminds us to somebody else, we don't use acordarse in that context, okay? Just recordar to talk about resemblances. That's the only difference in meaning between these two. And of course, the structures and the elements that you are going to use with each verbs are crucial. In a conversation context, acordarse is more common. I live in Mexico, so I know that in Latin American Spanish, acordarse is more common. Recordar, it's a little bit more formal, and you're going to find it in books, news, TV shows, and all those formal situations. So whether you choose recordar or acordarse, you're going to be fine as long as you use the right elements, okay? So before we finish this video, I want to leave you with 4 different things so you can go deeper into this topic if you need it. The first one is going to be a video about this same lesson in Spanish, just in case you want to practice your comprehension and you want to reinforce this lesson. The second one is going to be an article about this topic where you can check more examples using this structure. The third one is going to be a guide to stem changing verbs. Remember, recordar and acordarse are stem changing verbs, so if you're struggling with that topic, I'm going to leave you that guide so you can check what these changes are and how are you going to apply them. And finally, the fourth one is a guide to conjugating reflexive verbs. I know reflexive verbs can be a little bit intimidating, so with this guide you're going to learn how to conjugate those verbs. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, it will really help me if you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you. See you soon.